Welcome to Mini Lux Studio, where imagination inspires creativity. Today we're going to gather all the materials that we're going to need for our first series, Vacation in Hawaii. We're going to need 2 pieces of foam board. I purchased these at Dollar Tree for $1.25, so fairly inexpensive. You're also going to need scrapbook paper, but another option is just buying the packs. This particular one I bought at Walmart. It brings a lot of great photos. You can also buy them through Amazon. We are going to be using the sand on this one. And as you can see, I always buy 2 packs for every pack that I buy, and they're not exactly the same. This one's darker, this one's lighter, but it's sand. I believe that's gonna work. Another option is calendars. These calendars I also purchased at Dollar Tree. They're pretty big and substantial. I got 2 of each. And one thing that I do with calendars is recycle the back part of it. All of these different photos, which look really realistic because they are actual photographs from photographers, I use as artwork inside my Barbie doll houses. In the case of these 2 packs, they brought the little one, and in the little one, the back part that has this calendar here is the perfect 1/6 scale for Barbie doll houses. So I'm going to be using this one in the second set of series, which is going to be an office setting, but we're not going to need this right now. I recommend every time that you travel to pick up a calendar. They're fairly inexpensive because I really don't think a lot of people buy them anymore. But in reality, these backdrops are beautiful and you could use them for a window or a balcony in any Barbie doll house. What you're gonna need is gonna be a pair of scissors, school glue, and you could even use a glue stick if you want to. Other than that, this is all the materials that we're going to need. We first start with the sand. Now, if you take the sand and you place the photo in the same position right next to the other, it doesn't really look natural. So you're going to have to take the photo and you have to turn it around. This way the pieces don't look like they're in the same place. And once you do that, it looks a little bit more realistic. What are we going to use for greenery? I decided to use this photo with a boardwalk. Since I bought 2 sets, I have a continuous greenery, but I'm only going to use one side of the boardwalk. Now the top of it, they didn't have any clouds, so I really didn't like that portion because it didn't look realistic. So I ended up cutting all the blue, leaving as less blue as possible, and I'm going to be putting behind it the clouds that I purchased individually. Now this particular one has a darker side and a lighter side. And the darker side against this looks really real. So I love the way that looks. So we're going to start with that. We're going to pick the 2 clouds. We're going to put them all the way in the back. And then we're going to take our backdrop and we're going to put it to the side of it. Now you're going to have continuous greenery. Don't worry about this part because that's going to be covered. And I want the boardwalk to be to the corner of the actual paper or the foam board. So we're going to do that. For the other side, I don't have one other piece of paper from that cloud. I do have this one. I think that's going to work and that's not going to be a problem. But because I buy things in pairs, I didn't have a third option for that. But I do have this that's pretty similar. And I did the same exact thing. I just cut the portion of the top because it really didn't have any clouds. And then we're going to put this one right next to that greenery. And I think it's going to look okay. Now, the last portion of this is going to be the water and the boardwalk. Now, I have the scrapbook paper that's going to mimic the boardwalk. It's not perfect. It's not the same color, but I believe it's going to work. This way, it has a dimension of the boardwalk to be continuous. Then we're going to do the water. In the case of the scrapbook paper water that we picked, I really didn't like this portion of it because this portion does not look real. So I did the same exact thing. I cut the portion of the water that didn't look real and I just kept the water portion. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to have a continuous horizon and we are going to place the water on top of it. At the end of the day, we're going to cut that little lip there. This way you can see the boardwalk, and we're going to recycle that little piece of paper and put it in a corner. And once you have everything glued, you have the first portion of your beautiful Hawaii vacation diorama. Once you have glued your scrapbook paper to your foam board, this is what you're going to have. This is the base, this is the bottom part. There was no need to put any scrapbook paper on that corner. But the top part is going to have scrapbook paper that is not going to be attached to the foam board. There's a reason behind that. If you do it this way and you leave a piece that's going to go over the bottom part, it's going to look a lot more natural when you put it together. So basically, this is what's going to look like. Now you have a horizon and you have water and you have a big piece that is sand that you can set up, beach chairs or a tiki bar or, children playing, anything that you want to set up in this area. You have a big substantial sand area. However, if you wanted more water for whatever reason, you wanted your Barbies to be playing in the water or floating, I did the same thing. I took 2 additional pieces of scrapbook. I cut the piece out of the sand that did not look realistic, and you could just place them underneath. And because you're not gluing that part, you could do whatever you want with it. Now, I'm going to show you. I have a Barbie that represents me. This is me, and she could go in her floaty in the water. So that looks pretty realistic when you put her there. So our diorama is done. All we need to do is set it up with our Barbies and every other accessories that we want to put in. This is Kinetic Sand. I bought it at Michael's with a 50% off coupon for $9.99. They also sell this at Michael's. They also sell it at Amazon. So you could find it pretty easy. It's just like Play-Doh. It doesn't make a mess. And you can store it back in this bag or put it in a Ziploc and reuse it as many times as you want. I also gathered some items from Hobby Lobby. I purchased these pieces of small driftwood. I also purchased these mosaic little tiny pieces of stone that they're going to look very realistic. $3.49 and 99¢, but they also had a 40% discount coupon, so pretty inexpensive. I live in Florida, so I have beaches close by all the time. We go and we just gather little shells, anything that I could gather to make my scenes realistic. I just take them home and clean them out. But if you don't have a beach close by, Hobby Lobby and Michael's have these little packs that come with shells, so you could buy those as well. Another find, which I thought was amazing, and this is from Dollar Tree. They had these little sets. They came 2 a piece. These are little sand castles, and they have them in the gardening area where you find the gnomes and the little sets for your gardening, I guess dioramas, if you want to call those that. So this is from Dollar Tree. Now I gathered these or bought these maybe a month ago. Dollar Tree is seasonal, so I don't know if they still have them, but if they don't, they will surely bring them back. So just keep an eye on these.